the golden rule is if ouch comes to your brain, if at any point in this practice you say ouch, back out of it, because ouch, I don't want any ouches. We don't want any ouches. You don't want any ouches. However, if we're doing stuff, and we will do stuff that will push you, and if you're saying to yourself, whoo, that's hard, that's good. Hard is not bad. Hard is okay, but ouch is not okay. So you're going to know, I'm not going to know. You just need to back out of it. There's a couple poses that we're going to do that, frankly, my right knee goes ouch, and I do adjustments too. So I'm doing adjustments as well. It just happens to be, for me, it's my right knee. For you, it might be your left shoulder. The sequence that we do, that I was trained in, there are hundreds of different yoga trainings, as you well know. There, and there's gurus all over the place whatever. But I'm trained in a sequence that's called Journey into Power. And it's by this guy named Baron Baptiste. And actually, I'll hold you. This is a sequence chart. So these are all the possible poses that we'll do in a practice. This represents about an hour and a half practice. We're not doing an hour and a half practice. We're doing an hour. And even when I stop blabbing, it's probably going to be closer to 50 minutes. And then we're going to do a rest at the end. So it's basically 45 minutes. So, but I'm going to pick from this sequence, but there is an order here that we go through. And this guy he's a great guy. He's thought a lot about this. There's an order for a reason. And what you'll notice is the beginning of the practice, we'll regain our breath. We'll do a little bit of a thoughtfulness meditation, maybe set an intention. We'll do an om. We'll begin practice. And the beginning of the practice are the salutations, sun salutation A and sun salutation B. And the reason why we do that is to warm up our bodies. And that is the part of the practice that you might go, whew, this is hard. But I'm going to offer some modifications. And the whole point of doing sun A's and sun B's in the beginning of the practice is to warm our bodies, because then we'll do some deeper stretches. And it's helpful to have your body warm in order to get safely into those stretches. You'll hear me talk a lot about alignment. I'll even pause and say, grab your hips, see if you can bring them to, facing the front of the room. Alignment is so important. We can hurt ourselves in any practice, but the better our alignment is, the more we'll ensure that we'll walk away from this practice feeling rejuvenated, which is the whole point. Back in when Baron Baptiste's parents were running their yoga, I think it was kind of like a yoga commune out in California in the 70s, yoga there wasn't, in New Jersey, there wasn't a lot of yoga going on. There was some, but it was I don't want to say weird, but there wasn't a lot going on with yoga, with people doing yoga. There was a guy in Ocean City called Shante who did yoga, but it was a very, maybe more Indian practice. Today, it's mainstream, and there's yoga studios all over the place. And Baron Baptiste is part of that mainstream, bringing it to the people. His practice is kind of athletic, but we're not gonna press it too hard on the athleticism. But this is an intermediate class, and the assumption is you've done some yoga before. I won't use Sanskrit very much. I'll call the regular kind of English translated names. And it's so mainstream. I don't know if you guys ever watch baseball or football, but when I watch baseball and football, I can see, particularly the catchers, because they're having to squat, right, during the game. They're doing frog. And I've been to a game, and I watched Real Muto, the catcher for the Phillies, practice. He is going into frog for about a half an hour. And you watch football, the professional football players, they're doing yoga. The way that they tumble, the way that they can stretch and I mean, yoga has become mainstream. Even the professional athletes are doing it. So we're going to do it too. I want you to have your mats. You've got your mat set up. That's great. You can see my mat behind me, and I will use blocks. So maybe not today, but if you've got a block or two, bring them with you, and maybe a glass of water as well, so that there are particular points in the practice where you may want to pause, and you can at any point you take child's pose. You just do what you need to. And the last thing that I want to mention is there's lots of components of yoga, but if we want to just speak very simply, there's 3 things that you're going to be hearing me repeat often tonight. One is breath. The breath that we use is ujjayi breathing. So it starts in your belly, it works up into your lungs. It's closed lips, you're breathing through your nose, and you're making the sound of the ocean with constricting your throat. So that ujjayi breathing is breath that we use. They call it victorious breath, the sound of the ocean. There's lots of different ways of describing it, but we use that breath to remind us that we are breathing. And if at any point in the practice you find that you've lost that breathing in and out, and I'll be calling inhale and exhale, maybe not 100% consistently, but often, if you find that you've lost your breath, I want you to breathe in and out as a way of recapturing your breath. And if you find your breath is really ragged, go into child's pose, regain your breath, and then pick it up wherever we are. So this breathing and moving with our breath is the essence of yoga. It's just essential. And it's something that you'll get better at the more you do yoga. Asanas are the movements, are the poses. They are what shows us how our body can move with breath. And when we go into some of holding poses, when we're in a warrior 1, we may be holding, or warrior 2, we may be holding, or when we're in twists, you want to use your drishti. So your drishti is that gaze, particularly when we go into balances. Find a point in front of you that's not moving and stare at it and gaze at it. And that's drishti. So drishti, asana, the movement, pranayama, the breath. Those are 3 things you'll hear me speak about a lot. So let's meet together on our mats in child's pose. I offer a wide leg child's pose so that your knees are really coming out to the edge of your mat. Your toes are touching behind you, and sink back. Bring your hips back towards your heels. Maybe they make their way back on your heels, and stretch out your arms in front of you. Open your palms wide and gently lower your forehead down to your mat. Maybe your elbows are lifted off your mat, or they can be on your mat for a more passive child's pose. Rock your forehead back and forth. Give your head a little massage. Breathe in. Open your mouth. Do that again. Breathe in. Open your mouth. Breathe in and out. And on your exhale, close your lips and start your ujjayi breathing, that victorious breath constricting the back of your throat. And set an intention for your practice. It can be a word: joy, ease, love,
Maybe it's vigor, or maybe it's somebody who's in your heart and you just want to think of them as you go through your practice and wish them well. Breathe in and out using your Ujjayi breath. Elongate your arms, bring your elbows up off your mat, stretch your fingers out wide in front of you, and press your hands into the floor or mat and sink your hips lower towards your ankles, stretching out your back. Breathe in and out, and come up to tabletop. And let's look at our alignment. Your pointer finger is pointing straight ahead. Your shoulders are on top of your elbows, and your elbows are on top of your wrists. Your knees are right below your hips. Your hips are hip width distance. Your shins are straight out back, and the tops of your feet are on the mat. Look up, dip your belly down for cow. Exhale into cat, arching your back. Look up into cow. Swivel your hips up. Look down into cat. Really round your back. Do one more. Look up into cow. And tuck your chin into cat. Exhale. Extend your left toes out, touching the mat, and bring your right fingers forward, making cupcake fingers on the mat in front of you. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Now bring your hand up like you're shaking somebody's hand in front of you, and extend your leg long, stamping the wall behind you, raising your leg. Breathe in and out. One more breath in and out. Bring that hand down, bring your knee down, back to tabletop. One more round of cat-cow. Look up, cow, and cat. Arch your back. Extend your right toes behind you, touching them down on your mat. Bring your left fingers out in front of you, cupcake fingers. Breathe in here and breathe out. Another breathe in and out. Now pick up your hand and raise that leg. Like you're shaking somebody's hand in front of you, stretch it out. Stamp the wall behind you with that, with your toes flexed. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out, and then bring your knee back down, your hands, and one more round of cat-cow. Look up. Exhale into cat. Lift, tuck your toes, and lift your knees off your mat, just 2 inches. Breathe here. Engage your abdominal muscles, like you're tucking your belly in, like you're zipping up your favorite pants. Breathe here. Feel that abdominal engagement as you lift back into your first downward dog of the practice. Make any adjustments with the placement of your feet that you need, and pedal out your feet. If your wrists hurt, try to grab the mat with your fingertips. Try to take some of that pressure off of your wrists and get it into your fingertips. Pedal out your feet, breathing in and out. Point your toes to the left side of your mat and bend your knees a lot. This is a big side body stretch on your left. Breathe here, breathe into it. Come high on your toes. Bend your feet, pointing to the right side of your mat, and bend your knees. Same thing, but on the other side. Big side body stretch. Your weight is evenly distributed in your hands. Come back high on your toes. Now sink your heels down. Big calf stretch, high on your toes. Sink your heels down. Breathing in and out. Come high on your toes and tippy toe to the top of your mat. Come up on your fingertips as you come closer to the top of your mat. Stay on your tippy toes for a moment. See if you can go higher on your tippy toes. Lower down. Halfway lift. Your hands can be on your shins or on your thighs. The point is you want to straighten your back. The crown of your head is really pulling towards the front of the room. Your shoulder blades are wrapping around your spine and going down your back. Straight, dive down, forward fold. Give your knees some bend and try to get your sacrum up to the ceiling. Breathe here. Come up. One more. Halfway lift. Straight back. Dive down, forward fold. Breathe. On an inhale, come up to mountain pose. Look up, spark your fingers up, stretch up. On an exhale, bring your hands to heart in prayer and close your eyes. We'll open practice with the sound of one Om. Breathe in and out. Breathe in. Look up, hands up, mountain pose, dive down, forward fold. Breathe in, halfway lift, extend your back, and step back into high plank. Step your feet back, come into high plank. Notice if your joints are stacked. So your shoulders are on top of your elbows, elbows on top of wrists. Pointer finger is at 12 o'clock. Now adjust your shoulders. You don't want to be up. You want your shoulders plugged in and your back is flat. So your butt's not up in the air and nor is it dipping down. It's just straight. Go onto your knees and come down halfway, a chaturanga, but your knees are on the mat. You're tucking your elbows in. Now slide through and come up to upward facing dog. Your knees can be on the mat, or you can come up on the tops of your feet and bring your knees up off the mat. Either way, roll back to downward facing dog, maybe going through tabletop and then come up into downward facing dog. That is called chaturanga. We just did a chaturanga, and that is just a core central part of both Sun A and Sun B. So breathe in and breathe out. Come high on your toes on an inhale. Bend your knees so you can either float, which is a jump to the top of your mat, or step, a big step with your right foot. Have your left foot meet it, come to a halfway lift, straight back, dive down to forward fold. Up to mountain pose, spark your fingers up, look up, maybe you've got a little back bend, and dive down again to forward fold. Halfway lift, straight back, shoulders are plugged in, step or jump back to high plank. Here we are. Breathe in, breathe out. Lower down halfway, knees can be on your mat. Come up to upward facing dog, knees up or down, and roll back to downward facing dog. You can go through tabletop and to downward facing dog and breathe. See if your heels can go a little lower now, but you don't want to do that at the expense of not getting your sacrum up to the ceiling. So bend your knees as much as you need to get your sacrum up. You can feel the difference. Straighten your knees. See what happens to your sacrum. Now bend your knees and see what happens to your sacrum. It's profound. Breathe in and out. Breathe in, come high on your toes. Empty out completely as you bend your knees, walk or jump to the top of your mat, halfway lift, forward fold. Inhale, mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back to high plank. One more of these. We're here, we're breathing, our abdominals are engaged, our shoulders are plugged in. Knees on the mat, lower down halfway or come halfway down. come up to upward facing dog. This is your chest is coming through, you're looking straight ahead or a little bit up and roll back to downward facing dog or do it through tabletop. Breathe. Come high on your toes, empty out completely as you are bending down. So you're ready to spring or step. And when you're completely empty, come forward to the top of your mat and come into chair pose. So when we do chair, I like to use a block between my legs. That really helps. I can notice that I'm on the wrong view. Sorry about this, guys. So get a block if you've got one. And actually, Sarah, sorry about this. Here we go. I really like using a block when you're doing chair because in chair, you're trying to draw your thighs close. You don't want your knees to touch. I mean, some people touch their knees in chair. Your toes can touch or they can be hip width distance, but you're drawing your thighs together. And we're sinking down. Look down, can you see your toes? It's really good if you can. And then slowly bring your arms up into cactus. I like to start here, feeling my shoulders, and then come up, bring your arms up overhead and breathe. Sink down, breathe and sink. Breathe and sink, and now fold. Fold down, remove the block, halfway lift, step back. Here we are, knees on mat or raise, come down to Chaturanga, come up, upward facing, and roll back to downward facing. Good. Breathe in and out. We're going to warrior one on the right. So step your right foot between your hands, bring your left foot around so it's 45-degree angle, and come up slowly. Your right knee is bent right over your ankle. Your back leg, your left leg is straight and strong. It's digging, that blade edge of your left foot is digging into the mat. So this is a pose where we're really going to see how we're set up. So your right toes, you can even scoot your right toes a little bit forward, just as long as you can keep that knee bent right over the ankle. Back leg long, digging into the mat. Get your hips, put your hands on your hips, and see if you can get your hips more towards the wall in front of you. It is essentially pulling your right hip back and your left hip forward while not sacrificing the bend in your front leg and the strength in your back leg. And then we add arms. I always start with bringing up to cactus. That helps me get that feel of my shoulder blades around my back. And then bring the triceps up so they're wrapping around your ears. I actually turn my hands so that my pinkies are kind of facing one another. For me, that gets my arms in a better position, but do whatever works for you. Breathe here. Breathe in and out. This is where Drishti can help, where you have a gaze. This is where you might be saying, oh, I want to get out of this, but just stay unless there's an ouch. Breathe in and out. In and out. Pinwheel your hands around your right foot and step back into downward facing dog. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Step your left foot forward for warrior one. On this side, swing your right foot around so it's at 45 degrees, digging into the mat. Bend your left knee, hands on hip, make that adjustment, drawing your left hip back and your right hip forward. Your pelvis is neutral. So you're not popping your booty out, nor are you Michael Jacksoning it in the opposite direction. Breathe here, sink, bring your arms up to cactus. Look at the wall in front of you. Find a Drishti point. As we breathe and sink, breathe and sink. Bring your arms up overhead, warrior one, full expression. Breathe. One more breath in. Exhale your hands to the mat. Step back, downward facing dog. And breathe. Step your right foot forward for warrior one again on this side. Come right up into it. All those pieces, all those components, put it all together. Scooch your toes a little bit ahead if you can go deeper. Breathe here. And then go into warrior two. Adjust your back foot. So maybe you're taking your back foot from a 45-degree angle to a 90-degree angle. Whatever feels good. And sink into this. Your gaze is right over your forefinger, which is really strongly pulling towards the wall in front of you. Your back arm is drawing towards the wall behind you. Reverse your warrior. Your right hand goes up, you're still sinking, and we're going to do side angle. Gently place your right forearm on your right thigh, sink into that right knee, and start twisting so that the middle of your chest is trying to get to the ceiling. As you raise your left arm up, look up at your thumb, your left thumb, and breathe here. Now draw that arm up overhead so that left tricep is almost resting on your left ear. Extended side angle. If it feels good, bring that left arm around and maybe touch the top of your right thigh, sort of as a bind. We're trying to get our body twisting. So this is a first kind of light twist. Come back up. Bring your toes so that they're pigeon toes. We're going to do a wide leg forward fold. So my toes are pointing towards one another, and it can be, you can go as wide as you want. It's really completely up to you. We're going to hinge at our hips, come way halfway down, like a halfway lift, and then bring your hands to the mat right underneath your shoulder. And the crown of your head is now kind of just swaying back and forth. It's drawing towards your mat. And breathe here. Come up halfway on an inhale and move your right toes so that they're back pointing towards the front of your mat, like you're in a warrior pose, and slowly step your left foot back. So now your left foot is halfway up your mat. Both toes are facing the front of your room. Your hip width distance apart. We're coming into pyramid pose. So unlock your knees. And we're going to draw our arms up overhead. Breathe in. And on an exhale, lower down. I like to use a block here. Grab a block. I place the block right alongside of my right toes. And we're hinging at the waist, drawing our lower back lower towards the mat. Unlock your back leg if it's locked in. Bring some flexibility there. And breathe into this and lower down. Try to bring your right hip back and your left hip forward. Breathe here. Now place the block, if you have a block, or place your hand on the floor, but if you have a block, place it on the inside of your right foot. I have it on the second lowest or the medium setting. I'm going to place my hand fully on that block, and we're coming into twisted triangle. So here is, we're going to raise our right arm up, and we're going to slowly twist around and see if we can see our thumb. We're extending the crown of our head forward, and with twists, on the inhale, you extend, on the exhale, twist deeper. So inhale, extend forward, exhale, twist deeper. The top of my thighs are together. And slowly come out of this. You can move your block and step back into downward facing dog. However you can get there. If you need a child's pose, take it. Always, always, always the case. And breathe. We're going to do that same little sequence now on the left side. So step your left leg forward, warrior one. Bring your right foot around, come up slowly, but just come right into it. Bring your arms up overhead. Engage your abdominals and breathe and sink. Warrior two. Adjust your back foot as you need to and sink. Looking forward right over that forefinger. Really stretch your arms in opposite directions. Reverse your warrior. Left hand goes up, look up at your left fingers. Your right arm can be drawing down your right leg and extended or a side angle. Lightly place your left forearm on your left thigh. Bring your right arm up overhead. Now we're looking at that thumb. Breathe and extend. So bring that arm up overhead. Now my right tricep is touching my right ear. Sink into this. Big psoas stretch. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Come up out of this. We're going to do goddess pose. So now our toes are going to face opposite corners of our mat. So our toes are facing in before, now they're facing out. And look down at your knees. Draw them out so that they're not caving in, that they're drawn out as much over your ankles as possible. So make any adjustment that you need to get into this pose. And bring your arms up to cactus. And maybe on an inhale, keep your arms here. On an exhale, draw them down like we're making a W. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, we come up a little bit. Exhale, we sink a little bit. Now come up out of this, place your left foot in front and your right foot halfway back on your mat. So we're coming up into that pyramid pose. Your hips are hip width distance apart. You've unlocked your back knee. Grab your block and place it, again, mine is on the medium setting, right alongside my left big toe. So the best thing to do is come up, raise your arms up overhead, come down halfway and fully grabbing your block and folding over your extended left leg. Again, unlock your right leg if it's locked and breathe into this and sink. Breathe and sink. Now flip your block so that it's parallel to your left foot. Place your hand, your right hand, on top of that block. If you don't have a block, you can just place your hand on the ground and extend your left arm up and look up. So we really want to be, I'm actually on my fingertips on my block because I want my torso to be kind of straight. I don't want it sinking down too much. And I really want to start breathing in, extending, and exhale, twisting deeper. Breathe in, extend, and come out of it slowly. Good job. Bring your feet to the top of the mat. Fold down. Halfway lift. Fold down and come up to mountain pose. We're going to do one more little twist series. Twisting it's so good for digestion. I typically don't eat that much before I do yoga. I've learned over time that that works best for me, but these twists are really good for digestion. So again, we're going to go into a chair pose. You can grab a block if you like, if that works for you, placing it between your legs at the top of your thighs. We're going to sink our hips. So the point is with chair, and I don't have a perfect chair by any stretch. I don't even know what a perfect chair is anyway, but you're sinking your hips back. So they're going down and they're going back. I can see my toes. I can actually lift my toes off the mat and lower them down so I can feel all four corners of my feet. And I'm sinking down. Bring your arms up to cactus and then up overhead. So your back is kind of straight. Now, it's a tricky pose because you also want to be able to see your toes. So for me, this is a very tricky pose. Bring your hands to heart and twist right. So you're hooking your left elbow on the outside of your right knee. I'm still trying to sink my hips down, but I'm also trying to stack my shoulders. And I'm doing this by really pressing my hands together, and I'm really using the leverage between my elbow and my knee. And I'm drawing the crown of my head forward, and I'm breathing, and I'm twisting. So like all twists, on the inhale, extend, on the exhale, twist. So I'll let you play with that a little bit. And come out of it, forward fold, come up to mountain pose. Breathe. And now we're going to twist to the other side. So again, set up, sink down, sink your hips down. Bring your hands to prayer, maybe up to full chair or cactus, whatever feels good to you. And now hands to prayer and twist left. So I'm hooking my right elbow on the outside of my left knee. Look down, are your knees parallel with one another? Sometimes one will pop out. Try to bring it back to parallel. Try to draw the crown of your head towards the front of the room, sinking your hips, using that leverage to get into your twist. Inhale, extend, exhale, just deeper. One more inhale and exhale and come out of it. Shake your legs out if you need to. Take a drink. Do whatever you need to get comfortable. We're going to come into my favorite part of the practice, which is balancing. And I say this as somebody who's not all that good at it, but poor Seal has heard me say this, more times than she probably cares, and I'll just keep on saying it. I think as we get older, this balance sequence is the most important part of the practice, because as we get older, we lose our balance, we fall. We don't have to go into all that, but it is key that we really practice our balance. So what is balance? Balance is getting our bodies at true north. So let's look at our toes. Your big toes are facing at 12 o'clock. The arches of your feet are coming up, and there's an engagement in your shins. I think a lot of times we're kind of like sinking our arches, we're kind of flat-footed. Draw your arches up and back, raise your toes up, and then lower them one at a time so you can feel all four corners of your feet. Rock onto your heels. Now come forward onto your toes and find that middle ground and that true stability. Your knees are unlocked and they're right over your ankles. Your hips are right on top of your knees and your shoulders are on top of your hips. Draw your chin back. We try to jut our chin forward. Draw it back. Roll your shoulders up and down your back. So your shoulders are down. Your hands can be in any position, palms forward, back, whatever. And the crown of your head is really drawing towards the ceiling. And your shoulders are down and you feel engagement in your abdominals. So the best description I can say is your favorite pair of pants not the pair that's too small, your favorite pair, that sense when you're zipping them up, that tuck. Sometimes we say draw your belly up and back. I just think this tucking, like you're zipping your favorite pants, is really how you're gonna find that feeling of engagement in your abdominal. This is all stuff that will help with balance. So balance is nothing more than find a drishti point, gaze, lift your right leg up off the mat. Hands can be in any position, and breathe. Place that foot on the mat. Now lift your left foot up off the mat. It can be forward, it can just be up, doesn't matter. Just you're standing on your right foot. Place that foot on the mat. That's balance. So all the different balances that we're going to do, it is that. It's that alignment, and it is nothing more than bringing one foot up off the mat. And there's some, there's a little more loop-de-loo with some of them, but that's just basically it. So now let's do some more with this. Find a drishti point, get yourself aligned and stacked. Look straight ahead, draw your right knee up to hip height and grab a hold of it with your right hand. And open it up to the right side of the room. And now extend your left arm out to the left side of the room and see if you can slowly turn your gaze over to your left thumb. Flex the toes on your right foot and breathe. If you fall out, just come back into it. Unlock your standing leg. And place that foot on the mat. Let's do the same thing on the left. Breathe, find that drishti point. Bring your left knee up to hip height. Open it up to the left and extend your right arm out long to the right. Breathe and gently see if you can turn your gaze over to the right. And place that foot down. Good job, you did it. I ask you to do this every day. Just practice bringing your foot up, off the mat, off the ground, when you're standing on line, when you're standing at your kitchen, whatever, when you're brushing your teeth, and then shifting it. And that is, honestly, I've been practicing that for 15 years, and I used to not be able to do it, and like everything, with practice. So now we're gonna come into a binding position. So this is eagle. So eagle is again those chair legs. So you're gonna come into, it doesn't have to be the deepest chair in the world, but you're sinking your hips back, you're looking down, you can see your toes, and we're gonna wrap our right leg around our left. If you can bring your toes around to the other side of your left shin, good. If you can't, leave them flexed on the outside of your left shin, sinking down. And now we're going to bind our right arm under our left. This is a double bind. Our palms are together. Draw your elbows up to be in line with your shoulders, and drishti, and breathe and sink. Straighten your back. And come out of it. Shake your legs out, do whatever you need to. And let's do that again on the other side. So come into chair leg, look down, see your toes, yep. Wrap, find your drishti point, look ahead. Wrap your left leg around your right. See if you can get your toes around that shin. If not, doesn't matter, just keep them flexed and wrap your left arm under your right. Draw your elbows up in line with your shoulders and sink and straighten your back. One more inhale and come up, look up, mountain pose. Good job. We'll do one more. Typically we would do about 5 more, but we'll do one more, and this one's fun. This is actually one of my favorite ones to do. Maybe I'll do it. So we're going to do a right leg airplane. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to bring your arms up to mountain, raise your right leg up so it's hip height, your knee is hip height, and very slowly, like you're going through molasses, kick back to airplane. Your palms are facing down. You bring your right foot up as high as it'll go and draw your shoulder blades together and your pinkies together behind your back. Breathe, breathe, flex the toes of your right foot and come down. Let's do that on the left side. So come into your true north alignment. You're all stacked up. You're feeling strong. Bring your arms up overhead. Bring your knee, your left knee up to hip height. And slowly, like you're going through molasses in January, kick back. Bring some bend to your standing leg. Slowly, no rush. And come back, feet on terra firma. Good job. We are going to go onto our mats. We're going to sit down for a little bit. We're going to do some seated poses. There's always a little bit of core work in this sequence, so we're going to do a little bit, but not too much, don't worry. So come into your boat, your high boat. So there's lots of different ways. You can grab the back of your thighs, keep your knees bent, right? That's one way. You can place your forearms on the mat and come up like that. That's another way. In fact, you should try all that you can and find out, the whole point is we're finding some core engagement. This is core work here. So you want to find where you're getting the most kind of bang for your buck. Or you can go into your full boat, which is like that, full high boat. The point is you also need to be on your sacrum. You're not on your butt, you're not on your back, you're on your sacrum. So come up to your, whatever version of your high boat is, high boat, and then lower down slowly to low boat. Gaze at your toes, hello. Come back up to high boat and go to low boat again. Gaze at your toes. One more time to high boat and gaze at your toes. Flutter kick 10 times. 1 and low boat. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And lower down completely. Ha! Good job. Bring your knees up to what are we going to call this? A 90-degree bend. So my soles of my feet are facing the wall in front of me. And we're going to do a couple bicycles. So with bicycle, you can do a really sloppy bicycle, but the best way to do bicycle is you're taking your opposite shoulder to your knee, opposite knee. You're not taking your knee to your shoulder. So it may be a much smaller movement than bicycles you've done in the past. And then as you're doing that, you're extending the opposite leg long. I'm not describing this very well. The point is you want to bring I'm going to bring my left shoulder to my right knee, and I'm going to extend my left leg long. And then I'm going to switch. So I may not be you know, it's not a huge movement, but we're gonna do it slowly, 5 on each side. And breathe. And down. Head back, take a rest. Ha ha. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And I want you to come up into a bridge pose. So it can be supported bridge. Grab your block and place it underneath your sacrum. And just rest your hips on that block. Your toes are strong on the mat. They're pointing at 12 o'clock. Your big toes pointing at 12 o'clock towards the wall in front of you. Your arms are strong on the mat. Breathe here. And lift your hips up off of that block for a couple breaths. 1, 2, maybe one more breath. And lower down onto the block. Next time that we go up, I want you to draw. I don't want your thighs to come together, but like we were doing in chair, draw your thighs together. So there's this strong arm on mat, strong feet on mat, and drawing of the thighs together as we lift up for 3 breaths. Lift up. And lower down. Good job. And we'll do that one more time. Pop up. Breathe. Unclench your butt if it's clenched. Try to have your feet and your arms doing more of the lift, drawing your thighs together. And lower down. You can remove the block and kind of push it out of the way. I want you to come into figure 4. So place your right ankle on your left knee. This is also called the runner's stretch. Bring your hands behind your left thigh and draw your left thigh closer to your body. And with your right elbow, press against your right knee. Your head can be up or down, doesn't matter, but this is a hip opener. We're going to do this instead of half pigeon. So you really want to press one knee towards you with your hands and one knee away from you with your elbow. You should feel this profoundly in your right hip. And again, your head can be up or down, doesn't matter. Breathe. And lower down and switch. So now your left ankle's on your right knee. You're going to grasp your right thigh with your hands and draw that thigh closer to you, pressing your knee away with your left elbow. Your left knee away with your left elbow. One more breath. And lower down. Good job. Windshield wiper your legs back and forth, either side. And grab your block. If you don't have a block, we're going to do an inversion. So I offer waterfall, which is your block under your sacrum. If you don't have a block, go close to a wall and place your legs up the wall, shimming your butt as close to the wall as you can. And it really takes some practice to get that right. Some people kind of, I don't know, shimmy around, but get your legs up the wall if you don't have a block. If you do have a block, Place it under your sacrum and allow your legs just to pop up. If you like to do shoulder stand, please do a shoulder stand, but make sure that your neck is safe. I think sometimes in shoulder stand, we can really crunch our neck. So this is rejuvenation. These inversions, it's always a part of this practice to do an inversion towards the end because it allows the blood to flow back to our major organs, and it's just rejuvenating. It's good for you. Breathe. If you set an intention at the beginning of practice, maybe reflect back on that. Or we also like to look at our toes in doing this and think of 10 things that we love, that we're grateful for. Places, people, animals, things to eat, music, life. We'll stay here for another minute. Just relax into this. And when you're ready, roll out of this, remove your block, push it away, and stretch out. Do like an early morning stretch. Bring your arms up overhead, point your toes, stretch with everything that you've got. Breathe deeply. And draw your right knee into your chest. And with the assist of your left hand, draw it over to the left side of your body. So that knee is drawing towards the floor. You're stacking your hips. Extend your right arm long to the right and see if you can look over at your right thumb for supine twist. And breathe. And come out of this. Again, bring your left knee and we're going to switch. Bring your left knee into your chest and draw it over to the right side of your body. Extend your left arm long and look over your left fingers. See if you can stack your hips as you do so. If your shoulder pops up off the mat, that's okay. My palm is facing the ceiling. And roll out of this. Draw both knees into your chest. Tighten into a little ball. Scrunch up. Scrunch, scrunch, scrunch. And Shavasana. Flop your feet out to either side of your mat. Place your palms facing up to receive. And take a rest for the good work you did for a few moments. Breathing normally. Bring some movement into your fingers and toes. And slowly roll onto your side, cradling your head with your arm in a fetal position. And take a few more breaths here. And slowly, with ease, make your way up into a comfortable seated position, eyes closed. Sit up tall. Draw the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. And bring your hands to your heart in prayer. We'll end practice with the way we began, with the sound of one Om. Breathe in and exhale fully. Breathe in. Bring your thumb knuckles to your forehead. Look up. The light in me honors the light in you. We bow together and say, Namaste, Namaste.